Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. Thanks for joining us. We are here on a Labor Day Monday, and we're going to break down some great things that have happened over the weekend in sports. We're going to talk about a lot of different great things that have been happening, especially the NBA playoffs. And we were able to get Jason Cameron to join us today to break it down. Hi, Jason. How are you?
Very good, sir. Very good. How are you doing?
Doing really good, thanks. Excellent. Yeah, it's beautiful weather. It's nice end to our summer, as they say. You know, once Labor Day hits, everybody kind of gets serious and back to the grind of things. Yeah, we might as well break down all the amazing things that have been happening in the world of sports, especially Canada's team. For the second year in a row, all the NHL Canadian teams have been eliminated, and so the spotlight turns onto the Raptors. And it's so nice to see. It was nice to see last year how the NBA became more popular than the NHL in Canada for once, and it looks like it's going to happen again this year. And it had a really good chance of derailing unless a miracle shot with half a second left in Game 3, the Raptors hit that shot, and it was OG. Oh my! Goosebumps all over my body, jumping off my couch, super excited. I knew you were too. Tell me about that moment and how much it changed everything. Just what an incredible shot.
Okay, well, let me take it back from the play before that Boston did. Kemba Walker with the ball at the top of the key, dribble. He was double teamed and managed to spin out of that double team and find Daniel Tice underneath the hoop for a slam dunk. That play in itself was incredible because he damn near almost did the play with no seconds left on the clock. It was almost as perfect a play as it can get. I myself at that point in time said, man, so close. There is no way that we're going to hit this next shot. We have half a second left. Like, there's too many things that could go wrong with half a second. But then I forgot about something. I forgot that this is Kyle Lowry's team, and that guy will will his team to a victory. Because the pass that he made to OG in the corner was perfect. And when I say perfect, I don't mean like just almost perfect. I mean it was perfect. I mean it was spot on. I mean, it was literally pinpoint accuracy within centimeters of the target after he had to pass it over a 7'4" Taco Fall. All right? He did all that. And then all OG had to do was just put the shot up. It was just an amazing play. It was an amazing play. And obviously it changed the whole momentum of that series completely.
Yeah, it just completely changed up. They go down 3-0 to Boston. They're not coming back. I think the stat I heard the other day was 0-139 when a team goes down 0-3, never have ever come back in NBA history. So that was done. But like you say, what an incredible, amazing pass by Lowry, having to get it over the tallest guy in the NBA, Taco Fall, and actually throw it across the court right into the corner for OG. OG has to grab it and release it within half a second. Just one of the most perfect shots ever. And, you know, it'll go down in history. If the Raptors can go on and win this series, it'll go down in history as one of the greatest shots ever. Even if they don't win this series, it'll still be right up there with Kawhi Leonard's shot and, you know, many of the other shots. But just so exciting. Such an incredible turning point. Kyle Lowry, I heard, is the oldest player that's still in the bubble. Just his veteran savvy. He's been just phenomenal in these playoffs, just looking so great. You know, he played obviously second and third fiddle on that run last year, but he's stepped up. He's the man this year. Him and Fred VanVleet just are so phenomenal in that backcourt. It's just been so fun to watch them again, and they seem poised now to go on a really deep run. Milwaukee's obviously having massive trouble with Miami, and so it's really looking like Miami's going to come out of that. And the Raptors, if they can beat Boston in the next 3 out of these 3 games, get 2 wins. It's going to be an epic Eastern final against Miami. I can't wait. I'm sure hoping that they can win today. The tip-off's 3:30 today, and big game. What are your thoughts as we move forward into these next 3 games?
Well, now that it's all tied up, now Boston is worried, clearly, because it's like we let them have life from that game 3, like, unbelievable win, and now they have momentum on their side. And also, too, because of game 4, Toronto won, but another guy woke up, and that would be Pascal Siakam. He had a great game. He had a better second half than his first half. And so now if you got that guy that has woken up, you have the backcourt of Toronto playing well, and you have Serge Ibaka coming off the bench and can give you like 17 or whatever. You know what? Boston's a little bit of trouble, but those 2 teams are so evenly matched. I would assume that this series is definitely going to 6, probably 7 games.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, definitely. These 2 teams are incredibly well matched. It's we talked about it a lot heading into this series, how deep Boston was and how many weapons they have. Luckily, Toronto's defense is just phenomenal, has been for years, but they clamped down these last couple of games and were able to pull out the wins. It's really fantastic to see that the Raptors can start taking the national spotlight, now that there's no Canadian NHL teams. So much fun. Raptors were down 2-1 last year to both Philadelphia and Milwaukee, and they were able to come back and win both those series. So it's not foreign land to them when they're down in a series. They seem to have this championship medal now that they've got that title. They seem to be able to, weather the storm even when they're in a little bit of difficulty and trouble in a series, come back and win them. So I'm expecting amazing things from them. And I think we're going for 7 games for sure. It's exciting. And I'm going to have to be close to a TV in the next few hours when that game starts for sure. It's incredible. Van Vliet and Lowry, like I mentioned, Van Vliet has the 3rd most 3-pointers in the NBA playoffs in the last 2 years. Man, has he ever stepped up and been such a valuable contributor. And they're getting contributions from so many guys too. This is a well-rounded team and very well coached too.
Oh yeah, very well coached, very well. Obviously, with Nick Nurse coming into the picture, who knew that Asai Ujiri was a bona fide genius? Bring that dude in, because Nick Nurse that man can coach. He can coach, and then also too, he has the players to complete his defensive strategies or his offensive strategies too as well. And then also with Freddie VanVleet, since the birth of his son, I believe, the man's been on, I don't know, fire. He's just been on fire ever since that's happened. And so with the emergence of Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry being Kyle Lowry, and now with Pascal Siakam coming into the picture the way he has finally, you know what? Hey, the sky's the limit for Toronto. The sky's the absolute limit. And I hope that they can get past this tough Boston team, because they're as closely matched as any team I've ever seen in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's really closely matched. It's a fun series, and we knew it was going to be great, but it's been just phenomenal. Let's turn to the other series that tips off today, 6:00. The Clippers are facing Denver. LA looked like a much stronger team in that first game, but Denver came back and had a big victory in game 2. Made it look like it's going to be a series. I did hear, unfortunately, that Jokic is questionable with a sprained wrist for the game, and we'll see if he doesn't play. I don't think they have much of a chance, but Denver looked really great in that second game, and I'm happy. I think this could be a good series if he's able to play.
Yeah, man, it would be a great series if he's able to play, but he is so instrumental to everything that they do in their offense that it's going to be a very tough hurdle to overcome if he doesn't play today, or depending upon how severe the injury is and how many games he does actually miss. it's going to be very, very tough for the Nuggets to go forward without him. But with that being said, like they've gone through their adversity. They do have some of their players back, which is Gary Harris's defense has been exemplary since he's come back and been playing with the Nuggets. But but losing Jokic is a huge, huge blow. It is a huge blow. So hopefully we'll see. Maybe probably be a game time decision on whether he can play or not. And then also too, let's be honest, man. The Clippers, that team is built for a championship run. By far and away, I still believe they have the best roster out of all the teams in the playoffs. And then you have Mr. Steady, Kawhi Leonard, who just will always just quietly give you a 32-point game, which is really weird. I don't know how he quietly does that, but he does that all the time. Yeah. So I hope that Jokic can play today and make it a game, but like I said, it's going to be tough sledding if he doesn't play.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. Speaking of somebody that didn't play, Giannis Antetokounmpo was injured. There was questions and if he was even going to start. Re-aggravated his injury and had to leave yesterday's game. But Chris Middleton stepped up. Many of the other Bucks stepped up and won Game 4 against Miami. It was quite the shock that Miami was able to win those first 3 games. I thought it would be a little more even. Miami was poised for that sweep, and with Giannis going down, I think most of the Heat must have thought, "Oh, we're going to take this now." The Bucks played great. That was a really fun game to watch in overtime, and Milwaukee played really great with Middleton and everybody else stepping up. Made a series out of it. How did you seen the series so far, and especially yesterday's game?
Oh yeah, no, seen the series, and what really struck me was the fact that the team came together for their fallen guy. You know what I mean? Like they said, we're going to get this win for him, and they most certainly did. I just found that once Antetokounmpo, and he was playing great up until the point he got injured. He was playing fantastic, and so, but once he went out, what I saw was that they moved the ball around a lot more effectively on offense because they had to. They couldn't just go to their MVP guy and just get the ball into him. They were more effective at moving around the ball, and Eric Bledsoe definitely stepped up his aggressiveness in the offensive end. He had a great game. And then Chris Middleton, knowing that he had to be the guy, was the guy. Yeah. And you know what I mean? So hopefully the Bucks can maybe sneak another win from Miami. But in all honesty, if you're missing Giannis and you're going up against that team, the Heat, I'm sorry, man, but they're not going to win that series. No. Like you said, any team that goes down by 3-0, they don't win. I can see the Bucks maybe winning tonight, but that's about it, man. That's it.
Yeah, true. And the other series, Lakers and Rockets, Houston was able to get a big game 1 victory. Lakers came back. LeBron looked absolutely amazing in that second game, and they inserted their dominance. Game 3 goes tomorrow, 6:00 start, tied 1-1. How do you see this series shaping up as it goes along?
Well, I see it shaping up if LeBron says, you know what, I guess I'm going to have to take over and just win, then Houston loses. I'm sorry, man. Like, he just showed it again. Just his utter dominance when he wants to be dominant. Like, his utter dominance. And then the fact of how he makes everybody else better, how his passing is just so on point. Like, I am always amazed at the fact that he can do these things 17 years in. Like, what are you talking about? How are you doing this? Like, he defies Father Time all the time. And, like, looking at Houston, Harden's going to do his thing. Westbrook, unless LeBron's going to do an amazing block on him, which he's done several times to Westbrook lately, he's going to get his thing done, right? And the thing with Houston that's always been, they're going to live by the 3 and die by the 3. They don't hit the 3s, they don't win the game. But if they hit the 3s, they're going to beat you. And then that's it. That's literally, that's their offense, that's their thing. And so I feel that the Lakers have a better chance of winning this series because I think that they're just better at just being more consistent with their offense. Where Houston can go stretches of not hitting a thing, they couldn't hit the ocean because they're always shooting threes. And I think that might be the difference in this series.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, well, it's shaping up to be great. I'm still really enjoying these playoffs. A lot of fun. I'm glad the Raptors were able to, get that Game 3 victory and now tie the series up. Super excited about this upcoming game. It's really shaping up to be a fantastic second round, and things are really been fun to watch the NBA. Before we go further, I just want to mention some of our sponsors. We've got some really good partners and sponsors with Complete Sports Media. Anchor's been a really great partner and sponsor for us. They are the easiest place to make podcasts. They're really great at posting on multiple podcast platforms for us. Anchor FM. You can find them from our website or just go to Anchor FM and sign up. A really amazing organization. Our other partner is Verbero. Verbero's a hockey equipment and apparel company. They're an industry leader in technology, performance, and value. They've got the lightest composite stick on the market, the Mercury V350. Go to our website. There's a link there. You'll get some money off when you purchase any of the equipment there. And Forever is the aloe vera company. They grow and manufacture aloe vera-based products for health and beauty. Go to our website. You can look at the products you can purchase. You'll be able to get some money off as well there. So thanks so much to our partners and sponsors. I want to turn now. I'd really love to talk about the NFL. We've reached the week of the opening season, and Thursday, the big feature game. Very smart of the NFL to feature Kansas City and Houston. And this pits the two quarterbacks that now have the highest two contracts in NFL history. Patrick Mahomes blew everybody away with his 10-year, $503 million deal earlier in the year. And just yesterday, Deshaun Watson signed for 4 years, $175 million extension. Houston gets him this year for $1.18 million. So one of the biggest bargains in football. But I'm excited to see both these two teams go at it. These two dynamic quarterbacks should be an offensive shootout and a lot of fun way to kick off the NFL season.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, I'm super excited about it. And I'm just happy to see that these two young men got the contracts that they deserve, especially considering Deshaun Watson's situation since, they got rid of his favorite target, one of the best receivers in the NFL. I still don't understand why that happened. Still don't get it. But to ease him back into the flow of things for the team, they said, "We'll give you more money. We'll give you more money." And I guess that worked, man. So he's going to stay with the team, obviously. And I'm super looking forward to these two guys, these two young cats, just gunslinging, because they're going to be gunslinging the ball all around the field. And I can't wait for the NFL to start up, but I'm just going to say this, and I'm sorry, I got to go here, but the NFL is going to follow the same strategy as MLB. That's going to come with its own, it's going to come with its own problems, obviously. And the fact that the NFL staff and players are so much bigger than any other professional league, they got just a lot more risk to take on. I sincerely hope that the season is able to follow through to the way that they want it to. But I know that they're going to have obstacles and stumbling blocks. And I hope it's just not too severe that it, unfortunately, puts a sour note on the season.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I want to talk about the COVID protocols and that type of thing. I think there's a lot of skepticism and worry that the NFL won't be able to complete the season, being such a physical contact sport. If anybody has COVID, they're probably going to pass it on to their teammates as well as the opposing players. Not going into a bubble didn't work that well for baseball. They've had a lot of canceled games, and if it happens for NFL, it's really tough when you cancel games out of a 16-game season. it can be pretty tough to be able to finish. I do want to turn back to Deshaun Watson. You mentioned his favorite receiver. They traded DeAndre Hopkins away, and that was very strange move. Everybody was shocked and upset by that. I guess throwing a lot of money at Deshaun ensured him to come back. David Johnson's going to come in. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder, wanting to prove that was a good move. So I expect him to get the ball a lot and run the ball. They were able to sign Brandon Cooks out of the LA team, and that was a smart move. He's still got Will Fuller, Kenny Stills, Randall Cobb now's there, and Kiki Kuti. So he's got weapons. We'll see if Brandon Cooks can fill a very big shoes of DeAndre Hopkins. I expect it's going to be a big shootout on Thursday and a great way to kick off the season. Why don't we talk a little bit about some of those COVID protocols? The referees are not going to have whistles anymore in their mouth. They're not going to blow the whistle. They have handheld push-button electronic whistles. They actually emit a sound that's 100 decibels loud. So it's going to be kind of getting used to hearing a massive whistle coming through. And I don't know if every single one of those guys is going to have it, but I think it's going to take getting used to this handheld whistle system. They don't want to have a guy not have a mask on, blowing into a whistle, possibly spraying out some of his COVID. So kind of a neat thing that they've decided to do.
No, it makes sense, obviously, like, because you have to cut down the limited amount of spray that you could have onto the players and upon other people's staff and stuff. I'm just kind of curious to hear what this thing's going to sound like. Is it going to be deafening? And plus, it's got to be only the head ref that has that thing. It can't be all of them. Because if all of a sudden you got three guys pressing this thing, and it's just like, my ears, what's going on?
It seems crazy. We'll see how that pans out. I don't know. No cheerleaders, no mascots, no sideline reporters. They said they're going to allow some cheerleaders to do a little dance in the plaza in the front of the stadium to sort of excite fans at the beginning. No handshakes, no jersey swaps. Everybody's going to have their own water bottle. No water boys spraying water into their mouths. They're going to pipe in 70 decibels of fan noise to try to give some atmosphere. I guess 5 teams have said that they're going to allow a certain amount of fans in the stands, but very, very socially distant. They're not allowed. Players aren't allowed to go to buffet lunches anymore. Fuel up. Lots of safety protocols. Tons and tons and tons and tons. They're not allowed to be going on elevators. They're not allowed to be gathering in larger groups than 15 guys ever for meetings, for anything. Any types of practicing, just tons of things in place, and let's hope these things do lend to not getting COVID and not spreading it around and not missing any games. Let's hope.
Yeah, because and I understand, they're just trying to limit the spread by always doing the separation, even within the team. Like offense will go with offense, defense will go with defense, special teams probably go with special teams, that kind of stuff. But eventually these guys will intermingle. Obviously, clearly. And, they're just trying their best. Let's see how it goes, obviously. I wish them the best. But, when you have professional teams that are that large in scale with personnel, you're not going to be able to control everything. You just aren't.
Yeah, that's true. Why don't we touch base on some of the news that have came out recently? I think the biggest news was Alex Smith returned from his horrific injury. He broke his fibula and tibia a couple of seasons ago, had to undergo 17 surgeries to able to walk again, to save his leg. They almost amputated his leg. It was so serious. He made the 53-man roster in Washington. And there's an amazing documentary, an E60. It's called Project 11. Please watch that. An amazing comeback story. They reminisce about Joe Theismann going through that same injury and it ending his career. But tons of heart. 2005 first-round pick. He played a lot with the Niners for 7 seasons. traded to KC and then eventually to Washington in that offseason. Great to see the guy come back and make the roster. He's going to be the third string quarterback, but as we know, quarterbacks get hurt. Good chance that he's going to see the field at some point. Really great comeback story.
Oh yeah, man! Like it's amazing. Like the dude almost lost his leg. He almost lost his leg, and so for him to even make it onto an NFL team is amazing in itself. It is. So it's props to that guy. Like he, still getting it done 15 years in to his career and still managed to come back from literally, like you said, a horrific injury that ended the career of Joe Theismann. And this guy was able to come back from that and still get like that's encouraging, and it's just awesome to see a man just struggle and strive to get back to a place where he wanted to get back to, which is on the field.
Yeah. In other Washington news, Adrian Peterson was cut this week, but he ended up signing with Detroit, and really great to see AP back. One of my favorite players, a guy that's just in incredible physical shape and continues to want to pursue his football career. Really happy that he got picked up so quickly, and hopefully Detroit gives him a really legitimate chance to run the ball and contribute a lot to their offense. AP is just such a great guy and a really impressive career already, but I'm glad to see he's not hanging him up yet.
Yeah. I'm also glad to see that, he still clearly has something left in the tank. That's why Detroit picked him up so quickly, because, as I know, usually when running backs get cast off, that's usually it. Nobody decides to pick them up, but this time they did. So I look forward to seeing what he does have left, to see what he can show, like if he has a resurgence, so to speak, in his career. I'm just looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got left.
Me too. Yeah. Some other news that guys made the 53-man roster. Chase Claypool from your hometown of Abbotsford made the Steelers roster as a receiver. Really great to see him. I think he's going to add to that offense a lot, and I'm excited that another Canadian's made the team and made the league, and is embarking on a great NFL career, hopefully.
Yeah, it's great to see some hometown talent, some Canadian talent make it into the league, and then hopefully he makes a name for himself. And what better place to make a name for yourself than in Steel Town? So you know what? Good luck to the young man. I look forward to seeing great things from him in the future.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And another Canadian, he's originally from Ottawa. He made Dallas as a defensive tackle. His name is Neville Gallimore. Really great to see another Canadian there. And then a guy who won the Grey Cup with Winnipeg last year, Chris Streveler. He made Arizona as a quarterback. And we'll be following him for sure. I'm excited. There was a lot of cuts yesterday made. 20 quarterbacks were cut from the NFL yesterday. Some lesser lights, but there was a lot of names that went by the wayside. Some of them are going to make some practice rosters, but some of them just ended their NFL careers. Another guy that was cut by the Hawks was Shaquem Griffin. Shaquem was always really, really known for him and his twin brother making the Seahawks, and Shaquem had his left hand amputated as a 4-year-old kid, and he still made the NFL as a linebacker, contributed to the Hawks for many years, and his brother's still going to be a Pro Bowl corner there. But he might be on the practice roster. I'm not really sure if they've announced that yet, but amazing story of him to even make the NFL with only one hand and be able to contribute over the last 4 years there.
Yeah, man. Like it just goes to show with determination and will what a person can achieve, even with one hand, and to make it to the highest level in sport, which is the NFL. So, yeah, he should be proud of the accomplishments that he's made in the sport, because then now he's a beacon for others that are physically disadvantaged, that they can still go and do their best in the sport that they choose to do their best in.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Well said. The Seahawks lost Jadeveon Clowney, huge loss for them. He signed a 1-year deal in Tennessee for $15 million. Yeah, it's going to be a blow. Hard to replace a guy like that. Sorry to see him leave Seattle and move on. Yeah, what were your thoughts when you saw that?
My thoughts were they didn't have enough money to keep him. That's was my thoughts. Like, the guy is that good, and just with the with the roster the way it is, somebody had to go, and unfortunately, he was the guy that left because there just wasn't enough money in the pool to keep that guy. And I'm sure Seattle would have loved to have kept him, but they just didn't have the dollars to do it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the Thursday matchup. Some of the other key matchups on Sunday. Tom Brady in Tampa for the first time facing Drew Brees. That's going to be fun. The Seahawks play Atlanta, so Russell Wilson against Matt Ryan there. New England goes into the Cam Newton era now, and they face Miami. And Miami named their quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's good to see about Fitz Nasty back there. Yeah, what do you think about some of these great matchups, especially Brady and Breeze? We'll see how Tampa stacks up now that Brady's there.
Well, it seems that Brady actually has a little chip on his shoulder because from what I've heard is that Belichick really talked up Cam Newton, really talked him up. Like saying, oh, my God, this guy's so good. Like for like 2 minutes. And what others were saying, other reporters saying, is like, well, you never talked to Brady like that. You know what the greats always do with that is like, hey, you never talked to me about that. That's actually made me mad. I'm actually going to play really good this year. And that's probably what's going to happen. So I would assume old man Brady is going to do some good stuff this year. He's going to play well. I'm looking at that game between old man Brady and old man Breeze pretty much. And then the two old men still getting it done in the NFL, man. Like, it's amazing to see the longevity of those two individuals, how well they played and to the highest level that they played at. So I'm excited to see that game and just to see how Brady is with this new team in a new situation with some old parts still with him, right? So, yeah, I'm curious to see how he does. I just want to say I don't want him to do that well, because I'm still against him, and I think he knows that. But you know what? I'm still happy for him, and good luck to you.
Yeah. That's great. What do you think about the Cam Newton experiment in New England, based in Miami? Miami's struggles year after year, but yeah, how do you think New England's going to fare with Cam Newton this year?
Well, I think Cam being who, like, my only question with Cam was if he can check his ego and be coached by these guys, because these guys can coach people. They can really coach you up if you let them do that. And I think as the games go on, if he doesn't, shell up into himself, if he has these, these hurdles that he's definitely going to face during the season, that he can still, push through and still try to achieve to the highest level. If he can do these things, then I think he's going to be good. But, it's just a new situation. It's a new coach, and it's a new culture that I don't think he's ever been a part of before. And so I hope that this culture actually boosts him up and makes him into a better player. I'm curious to see how it all works out. I think it should, to a certain extent. I just don't know how good the Patriots are going to be. I don't necessarily know even if they'll make the playoffs. But I guess we'll see in the first half of the season just how they fare and how they do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I can't believe it's finally here. You and I haven't talked too much NFL recently, just because there's been other sports that have taken the spotlight. The preseason, there wasn't, any games in the preseason. There was signings and there was things like that. You and I talked about NFL, a month ago or so, but suddenly it's back in the spotlight. Great to see that they're going to kick off the season, and I'm excited, always am. NFL football is, some of the greatest TV that you can ever watch, and a great way to spend a Sunday, Monday, and even Thursday nights. And it's great that it's here. Just let's keep our fingers crossed that COVID doesn't rear its ugly head and infect some of these guys and derail the season. So why don't we focus on last night's UFC? It was the shortest card since 2005. November of 2005, the Ultimate Fighter had a finale between Diego Sanchez and Nick Diaz, and that was the last time there was only 7 fights on a card. You and I have talked about long cards, short cards, a lot of different cards since May the 9th when they started this up, but COVID did unfortunately ruin a few of these matchups, and some of these fights had to be canceled. It was tough that it was only 7 fights, but there was so much other sports going on that I guess it wasn't that big of a deal. But how did you think of the card as a whole?
I thought, what, the UFC did pretty good with what they were given. It's just it is what it is now during these COVID times. Like sometimes you just can't get all the fights that you'd like onto the card because there's just not enough time. There's just not enough time. So, but for the most part, like the main event and the co-main event were very entertaining to watch, for sure. And I was pleased with what they were able to put on the TV for us fans.
Yeah. Well, why don't we get right into the main event? Alistair Overeem against Augusto Sakai. Overeem started off very cautiously. He's really changed his fighting style since his earlier career. He just rushed guys, tried to knock them out. He unfortunately suffered knockouts fighting that style. He's 40 years old now, so recently has changed his fighting style. He would be on a 5-fight winning streak if Rosenstrike didn't knock him out at the very end of their fight, but he looked great. Once he started figuring out it was easy to take Sakai down and hold him there and give him the brutal ground and pound. He was able to take that advantage and end up getting the win. Overeem looked great, and I think he's in line for some really good fight next in that heavyweight top echelon.
Yes, and also too, I want to make an amendment. I was thinking of another fighter when I mentioned that Sakai was a K1 fighter. Sorry, people. He was never that. Sorry about that. And also, too, within the fight itself, you could just tell that Overeem has a certain patience to him now. And his fight IQ is high enough that he knew it's like, okay, I'm just going to weather the storm, but I'm going to save myself. And that's literally what he did. He saved himself for the later rounds, because he knew that Sakai really hasn't been in this 5-round stuff, and he has that experience. He knows what that's all about. And so once he felt him out, he felt his power, he shelled up. He really didn't do any exchanges when he was up against the cage and Sakai was just like throwing leather at him. He just waited. And so I could feel that he was just waiting for his opportunity to take control of the fight. And then he did that in the 3rd round. Started taking him to the ground, round and pound. And then once he finished that fight at the beginning of the 5th, that was vicious. I'm sorry, man. You don't ever want to take elbows from a man like that. Ever. Those looked extremely painful. And Herb Dean, once he saw the second one and a couple of ground strikes, he said, "Oh, yeah, that's enough."
Gotta save this guy. Yeah. I mean, they showed some of the highlights after, and they had the audio on, and those sounded brutal. And imagine being Herb Dean standing 2 feet from them. He must have heard, some serious damage being inflicted there, and saved the guy. Sakai was a little mad at the stoppage, but he was down. He hadn't gotten up from any of the other takedowns, so he didn't look like he was going to be able to weather that storm and get up anyway. So good on Overeem. We'll see. There's been talk about maybe running it back with Rosenstrike. he had beaten him all the whole entire fight up until Rosenstrike split his lip and knocked him out. Do you think they should have a rematch? Do you think that would be the best thing for Overeem and him?
Okay, well, you know what? It kind of depends. I know that Rosenstrike is just slightly ahead of Overeem in the standings, right? And Overeem has actually now said that this is his final run and then he's done. So I believe he has maybe 3 more fights left. And so if they can fit Rosenstrike in there in his 3-fight run, and that final fight probably being his shot at the champion, then they should do that. They should definitely do that. They should try to fit him in. And I would say, considering if Rosenstrike doesn't have a fight coming up, they should make that rematch immediately. That's what makes sense to me. Because then he fights Rosenstrike, leapfrogs him, maybe fights another top 3 guy, and then fights the champion.
Yeah.
And I think in a perfect world, that would be probably what the route that Alistair will take. I don't know if it's possible, but if Sean Shelby and the crew can get those fights done, I think they'll do that for him because Overeem's definitely earned that.
Yeah.
He's earned that.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. I mean, he's a champion everywhere he's been. He deserves one last shot at that belt. And there's talks about Derek Lewis being a possible opponent. Curtis Blades has been around there, but they're really good friends. They fight out of the same camp, and don't see that happening. They mentioned John Jones, and he kind of dismissed that right away. Doesn't really want any part of that. So, we'll see. It was a great win by Overeem, and I think he's going to get an opportunity at the title as long as he can win another 1 or 2 fights. So, in the co-main event, we had Ovince St. Preux fighting Alonzo Menefield. That was a pretty spectacular walk-off KO by OSP. It was quite the shock how he just threw that bomb. The guy crumpled in the corner, and he just knew that was it. The guy was not getting up. It was a great walk-off.
Yeah, man, because that's what OSP does. I think he's basically one of the best strikers at going backwards. He's one of the best at doing that. I have seen him do that countless times, walking backwards, knocking the man out on a counter strike. And I believe it was a counter left hook that caught him. And when your opponent falls flat on his face, you don't need to punch him anymore. It's over. And he knew that. Like, it's just like, hey, he fell on his face. Okay, I think we're good.
Yeah.
And then the ref kind of comes in and goes, nah, you don't need to punch him anymore. It's done.
That was it. Done. Yeah. They just had to step in and say, you're finished. Yeah, it was. Menefield is a physical specimen and looked great. An incredible counter left. Just took him out. 50 Ks for that KO for him, one of the fight bonuses, and super impressive win by OSP. In the welterweight fight right before that, we saw the Brazilian clown, Michel Pereira. We saw him fight Tristan Connolly here and have all these crazy capoeira antics. They're growing very tired on me. I don't love the showmanship that he seems to want to show, but he looked super impressive. Definitely was the better fighter, the bigger fighter in this matchup against Imadiev, who's a Russian guy. I'm not a fan of Pereira, but he did look impressive and was able to sink in that rear naked choke and take the victory right at the end of the 3rd round.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Not that great. I'm not a big fan. I'm just not a big fan of the antics and stuff. But I will say that he definitely toned it down a level from his usual stuff, because the one thing about that entire fight, while he was doing his showboating and stuff, he was still actually defensively responsible in his posturing against his opponent. Against that dude. Like, he was still defensively responsible. Like, whenever he'd showboat, he'd make sure there was enough distance so the guy could catch him with anything, right? And he did look impressive. Now, the thing is, I look at Pereira, I don't know how he made it to 155. He's huge at 170. It's massive, man.
Yeah.
I don't even, none of that even makes any sense to me. It just doesn't. And so an impressive win by Pereira. You know, he showed his skills. I wish he would cut out the other stuff because I think he'd even be more effective, but apparently that's part of his thing and that's what he's going to do. So, whatever.
Yeah, you're right though. He did tone it down. He wasn't as bad, but still, those antics, they don't need to be there. I think he'd be a super popular fighter, even if he didn't jump around and dance around and all that kind of stuff. It was a bit of they weren't sure that he definitely tapped during that rear naked choke, but there was only 21 seconds left in that fight. He was going to win that decision if it went to the judges. He got $50K for that submission win, and I think the UFC seems to like him. They're running them in there quite a bit, and we'll see. But yeah, he is just massive for that weight class, and yeah, it was a shock that he made 155. He definitely dwarfed Imadaev, and big victory there. The fight right before that, middleweight fight between Andre Muniz and Bartosz Fabinski. Muniz pulled a really fast one there. It looked like he was setting up for a triangle choke, and I think that Fabinski was trying to defend that, and then all of a sudden it was an armbar, and he had to tap immediately, or else his arm was going to break. $50K for Muniz, and really good submission win there.
Oh yeah, man! Like it was a beautiful win, and obviously Muniz invited Fabinski. It's like, oh, please take me down. If you could do that, that would make my night so much easier, which it did. And he tricked him. He feinted him. He feinted with the triangle choke, and then came across a straight arm bar. It was a beautiful transition, and great win by Muniz. Great win.
Great win. So the fight before that was a featherweight fight between Brian Kelleher and Ray Rodriguez. Rodriguez was, I believe, the fourth fighter that Kelleher was supposed to fight. This was actually, I think they found out late on Friday night that that was going to be his opponent. He lost out on one of the fighters to COVID, another guy to an injury, and then all of a sudden, this is a replacement. Kelleher looked really good. He was supposed to win. He was supposed to take down this guy who he wasn't quite in his league. 39 seconds, immediate guillotine choke, and that was his third win in 2020. Super impressive. Even though you're supposed to win against a guy, he's going to be a game fighter coming in. Great performance by Kelleher.
Yeah, especially not knowing who you're going to face. It just went through opponent after opponent after opponent, and so yeah, it was a beautiful win by him. The guy he shot. Was kind of sloppy, and Kelleher goes, "Oh well, thank you very much for your neck." That was it. Game over.
Yeah,
and that's one of Kelleher's go-to moves. That's what he's very, very savvy and good at doing is that guillotine choke, and lock that bad boy in, and it was game over.
Yeah. Well, I like his personality. Fun guy. Great victory. Really quick. Didn't take any damage. Should be able to be put in there in another fight really, really soon. So then we go to a women's flyweight fight between Viviana Araujo and Montana De La Rosa. Araujo looked really incredibly strong, was a dominant fighter in this decision victory. She looked like by far the superior fighter in this matchup, and just seemed to cruise to a really dominating win.
Yeah, she's quite the physical specimen. I will say that. Like, she had some snap to her punches, and especially her jab was lethal. Her jab pretty much destroyed De La Rosa's face. And that thing, she kept popping that thing throughout the entirety of the fight, and that was her best weapon by far and away in the fight. Got the win, looked impressive doing it. De La Rosa was game, but she just did not have enough on her feet.
Yeah. Good call. Yeah, exactly. The first fight of the night was a bantamweight fight between Cole Smith and Hunter Azure. Definitely being Canadian, having the guy come from Squamish. He's trained with Tristan Connolly, a lot of guys locally here. Yeah, a fighter that I've been following quite a bit over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, just didn't seem to be able to take the advantage when Hunter was taking him down. He was able to keep him down and yeah, sort of take that advantage. Hunter Azure got the decision win. Now he's 9-1. Cole Smith only slips to 7-2. Still pretty decent performance by Cole. Unfortunately, it started off with the card with a loss. But yeah, how did you like this fight?
I like the fight. I like the fact that Cole actually came on at the end of the third. It was a little too late, too late, but he did come on at the end of the third against Hunter. So he showed resilience and poise. You know what I mean? Like he was still trying to win the fight. But it was just the accumulation of points that Hunter had put on Cole up to that point. He was the superior grappler. His grappling exchanges that he kept chaining over and over again throughout the rounds. And that's what really won Hunter the fight, was his wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a short card. It still had some good fights. Fun to be able to watch them, fun to be able to break them down. We've got a fight coming up next Saturday. The main event is Michelle, the Karate Hottie Watterson, against Angela Hill. Should be a good battle between these two girls at the top of the women's strawweight division.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a great matchup between those two ladies. They are both high volume fighters. They bring it, and it's going to be exciting to see both of those ladies get after it.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount of fights named for that card quite yet, but the following week we've got Colby Covington and Tyron Woodley. Should be a great battle in the welterweight for that main event.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how Colby comes out this time around with his "Make America Great Again" and all his other nonsense that he does. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. At least he's pretty entertaining when he comes to the ring. I hope his entrance music is again Kurt Angle. Yeah, like his WWE music, because I remember the first time I heard that. Oh man, did I laughed. I was like, oh, you. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he's sure got quite the personality, and he wants to play the villain. He sort of thrives on that for some reason. He's actually sort of rejuvenated his career once he became that villain and that heel and supporting Trump and all this kind of nonsense. And but yeah, he makes you laugh, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, he's entertaining with his ridiculousness, because it is ridiculous, all of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's wrong with Tyron Woodley. He just doesn't seem to be able to pull the trigger like he used to. He seems to be holding back and trying to just land big bombs. I've been very, very uninspired by his last couple performances, and I'm not sure what's wrong. He doesn't seem like the same old guy. Yeah, I don't know if we see that same Tyron Woodley we've seen in the last couple fights. I might just turn off the main event.
Yeah, I hope we don't. Like, he just, it's almost as if he doesn't trust in what he sees or what is about to happen. Like, he just needs to throw. I think he just needs to go out there and engage in the fight instead of waiting for the perfect shot. Because sometimes the perfect shot is just, it's not going to be there, And even if you do get the perfect shot, you get that shot, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to go down from that shot. Yeah. So, like I have to think that his corner, his coaches are going to be encouraging him. You got to engage, you got to throw, and then let's leave it all out there this time around.
Yeah. I mean, the fight he had against Gilbert Burns just didn't seem to bring it. Kamaru Usman even worse, I thought. He had a great win against Darren Till. Damian Maia had those battles with Wonder Boy, had the draw and then the victory on him. Robbie Lawler he beat. Gastelum. He had a incredible battle with Rory McDonald. Going back and back through his career, he's had phenomenal, a lot of really amazing battles. But these last two fights against Burns and Usman, geez, yeah, it's just something's wrong there, and he better bring it this fight, or he runs the risk of not being relevant anymore. And yeah, I really was very, very, very disappointed in those last two performances, and it made me wonder if he still has the heart for the game anymore.
Yeah, and like he's getting on in age, and he's getting on in his career. He's doing well in the broadcast booth, so to speak. So, and it does happen with these fighters where they go, well, you know what, this broadcast thing is pretty good. I don't know if I necessarily need to keep fighting anymore.
Yeah.
So that's a discussion for obviously that he needs to have with himself, his coaches, his family. But hopefully he still, has that fire within him. But we're going to see it. We're going to see if it still is there when he fights next.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of great things ahead. Obviously, UFC's been running a fight every Saturday, and lots of great things to break down. NBA playoffs have been a lot of fun. I'm really glad we broke those down today. NFL's here upon us this week. Oh man, that's going to be exciting. The hockey around here is going to die down. There was some Canucks fever here in Vancouver for a while. When Thatcher Demko replaced, became the Canucks goalie, all of a sudden stood on his head and almost helped them beat Vegas. It was kind of cool to see the fever in the city. As I said, it's going to die down now, but what a run the Canucks went on this year. It was a lot of fun in this to watch.
Yeah, man, and also too now they have a ton to build upon for the next season, because this improbable run, because it was improbable, they were never supposed to do any of the stuff that they did this year. This is supposed to be kind of a rebuild year, and then they did this. That's amazing. That is utterly amazing. I'm going to say it probably helped out that they didn't have to deal with our fair weather fans, so to speak, because it's like, oh, well, they're silent anyways, so this is not a big deal to us. So, but you know what? I think the sky's the limit for the Canucks going forward, man. And then now they know that they have two fantastic goalies. They got two great ones. Demko came out of nowhere. The man almost had 100 saves in 2 games. In 2 games. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I look forward to seeing what the Canucks do for the next couple of years. The only problem I see for the Canucks right now, I don't think they have enough money to keep everybody.
No.
That's their problem. But it's a good problem to have, to know that you have that many great players that, unfortunately some pieces are going to go, but try to retain the pieces that count the most.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sticking with hockey, Matt Dumba from the Hockey Diversity Alliance was just named, was a recipient of the King Clancy Memorial Trophy, which is bestowed upon a guy who contributes to community and forwards his initiatives. Matt Dumba stepped up with this Hockey Diversity Alliance, was able to make that moving speech when the hockey season went into the bubble and reemerged in the playoffs. And really great to see him honored in this way. And sheds a lot more light on the Diversity Alliance that you and I have been talking about a lot over the last few weeks.
Oh, yeah, man. And also, too, Matt Dumba is he's earned that respect. He's earned that honor. He's done a lot of groundwork to create this Hockey Diversity Alliance, to bring it up and going. And also, too, just to encourage the conversation that everybody is now having across the globe and in all sports and in all walks of life. It is fantastic to see, and I'm very proud of the young man to have done and succeeded in doing what he set out to do.
Yeah. Yeah, the King Clancy Awards for leadership on and off the ice, and who has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution to his community. He's the very first NHL player ever to kneel during the U.S. anthem, and he did that to help combat racism. He's been honored for his anti-racism and community efforts, and it's great to see the NHL making so many strides with this. They were a little late to the party, as they say. The NBA and WNBA have stepped up and been really at the forefront of this. Now that the NFL is here, we'll see who steps up and is a leader in this fight. Colin Kaepernick was that initial guy 4 years ago. Will be it'll be interesting to see what the NFL does and how they're going to support these efforts to combat this racism and all the troubles that have gone on for so many years. I'm looking forward to that to see what the NFL does.
Yeah, man, I am too, because they had the perfect model of how to go about it, with the NBA being the flagship, leading the charge. I do hope that the owners are on board as much as the NBA owners were on board with their players. That remains to be seen. I guess we shall see once the season starts up. But I know that the collective of the players, they're going to be sending a strong message for social change.
Yeah, well, that was great, Jason. As always, my favorite hour of the week is when you can join me and we can talk about sports, break it down. I'm going to send you on your way. Have a fantastic rest of your Labor Day. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend, and we'll touch base next week. Enjoy the NFL, enjoy the NBA, enjoy all the playoffs coming ahead, and we'll talk really soon.
All right, man. You too as well. Stay safe.
Okay. All right. You too. Take care. All the best. That was fun. I always, really have such a great time talking to Jason about sports, and he has so many great takes, and it's fun to prepare and, be able to, talk about so many different sports. We have people in the world that, have their certain favorite sports, and they kind of just focus passionately about them, and they sort of forget about the other sports out there. But not a guy like Jason. He follows, the world of sports and has really fun and great opinions on them, and always a really enjoyable hour of my week. So, thanks so much for tuning in. Really enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend. And we'll talk to you really soon. Support our partners and sponsors. Please go on our podcast platforms and YouTube and make some comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends and family, and enjoy your week ahead. I love you lots. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.